Hello, my name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, August 17, 2026, and in this episode I will share my handwerk perikelen, which is a Dutch word for my creative adventures from the last couple of weeks with you. It's been a while. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English. They are not similar, but you can watch them both if you want to with subtitles. If you miss subtitles in a specific language, please let me know and I will check if I can add them afterwards. Whew, I needed to practice this intro. It's been a while and yeah, the intro is really nice to get in your YouTube mode. And it feels a little bit weird after a few weeks of summer vacation with no filming at all to sit in front of my camera to talk in English again. And although I made a few episodes last week for my membership part on YouTube, yeah, I still need a good warming up. And the introduction is really a good warming up. But I forgot my introduction and I was hustling up all the things. But I think I made it right now. So hello, I am back. I enjoyed a lovely summer vacation. I think that's how you say it in English. It's quite similar to Dutch. We call it zomervakantie. We enjoyed a lovely camper van trip, mainly through Slovakia, a new country for us. We have never been there before and it was absolutely gorgeous. The nature in that country is so beautiful. We hiked a lot. We love nature and we also did a city trip to Budapest on our way to Slovakia, which was also very nice. But we prefer enjoying the nature. I think everyone has his or her preferences. Some people are interested in culture, some people are interested in history, and we are interested in nature, and you have much different levels and it's all good. So we did a lot of hiking and it was very, very good. I shared a lot on Instagram during my summer vacation and also in my last HeartJumping Friday episode I told about it and I shared a lot of footage. So today I will talk about my knitting and I'm really looking forward to it because I have a HeartJumping finished object. Only one, but it's a good one. It is right there. Yeah, and I think this episode will mainly be about my Ziggy cardigan because that's how it's called. Of course, I brought a big bag filled with all the knitting and crochet projects with me during our holiday. It was not even a big bag. It was actually quite a small bag compared with what I usually bring with me. But we were in a small camper van with 5 persons and a dog. So we needed to pack minimal, which was great. I absolutely recommend packing minimal when you go on a holiday on several levels. It is very... how do you say it? It's very clear, it's not overwhelming, you don't have a lot of laundry when you come back home, so it's actually perfect. But I hardly touched the things which were in my vacation knitting and crochet bag because most of my knitting time went to that cardigan. It was a test knit. I don't know if it was the best idea to apply for a test knit during our vacation, but yeah, it went quite impulsive. I think it was end of June during some hot summer days. We had a lot of them this summer in the Netherlands. I was scrolling on Instagram and I must confess I'm not an Instagram scroller. I try to avoid that as much as possible. I prefer making content for Instagram instead of consuming it. And the main reason for it is that I get overwhelmed with all the inspiration. So much beautiful content is there and I don't need so much inspiration. But during one of those very hot summer days, I was lazy, couldn't do anything because it was too hot for me. So scrolling on Instagram was my thing and I really enjoyed it. And at that point, I think I was checking the For You page and suddenly there was a picture. It was a photo, it was not a reel, from a lovely cardigan. It popped up and it immediately catched my eye. It was a zigzag cardigan knitted. I'm not sure if it was white with blue or purple with orange, because later I noticed Katharina. I don't know if it's Katharina or Katrin. The designer of the Ziggy cardigan made 2 examples, and I can't remember which one catched my eye, but I felt immediately in love with the zigzag. It gave me retro vibes. Yeah, I don't know, I loved it. So I clicked on the post and discovered it was an apply for testknit, and within a few minutes I applied. And a little voice in the back of my head was telling me, you are going on a summer vacation, you have less knitting time than you normally have, is it okay to have a deadline? Probably not, but I was ignoring it because I wanted that cardigan as soon as possible. So in the beginning of our summer holiday, I did some sock knitting and I had a little camisole with me. But later, I already started at home, but later I needed all my time to finish the cardigan before the end of the test knit. I didn't make it. That never happens to me. I feel a little bit ashamed about that. Although I could give all the feedback, I only needed to finish the second sleeve, but I was not able to take proper footage to update my Ravelry page. I still haven't done that. I hope I will make it before this video will be online. So yeah, that was not really how I normally do the things, but yeah, it was what it was. I have the cardigan right now, so I'm very happy. Yeah, I didn't know Kat and Leni, that's her Instagram name, Katharina von Blumenthal. She lives in London, if I'm correct. I didn't know her as a knitting designer. But yeah, I really like to discover new designers every now and then. So yeah, I started swatching back home and I immediately decided to knit this cardigan in Drops Bell. I think Katrin had, she used a summer yarn, a cotton yarn as well. I can't remember which yarn, but it was, the pattern was for a DK weight yarn and it was a summer cardigan and it was very warm that time of the year. So I wanted to knit with plant fiber yarns. I really prefer the woolly yarns, but not when temperatures are high. My hands get sweaty and I'm really looking forward to cooler days. Today is finally a little bit of a cooler day. But yeah, I chose Drops Bell. The colors. Shall I give you a quick look before I start chatting about it? I will put it on, but it's still a little bit warm. And my windows are closed, but look at this. Isn't she lovely? I think she's a she. I don't know. I don't know the genders of my knits. I think I need to say it's lovely. It's lovely. I really love it. I love it. I love it. So I will put it on in a minute, but I was overheated so many times the last couple of days that I want to postpone it until a certain moment. So let me show you the yarn. The cardigan is originally designed for 2 colors. Or an even amount of colors, and I was playing a little bit with the yarn. This is my swatch, and as you can see, I was really inspired by the purple and orange version. The blue and white is not really my color thing, but the purple and orange resonated with me, and I thought, okay, Sarah, be adventurous, choose pink. So I did choose pink and brown, and although I love the pink and brown, I was not really sure about it. Then I added a, I don't know if this is the cookie dough. I think it's the cookie dough color I used for my Wonderbloom vest. And I thought, okay, I think I like it. And I am absolutely sure I will enjoy knitting this color combination. But I am not sure if I prefer wearing it. My experience is that every time I make a colorful knit, or crochet item. I really enjoy the process of making it, and I enjoy wearing it every now and then, but not quite often. Most of the time I grab my brown and black and yeah, darker color combinations. So then I added black, and then I thought, okay, I need brown, I need to add brown, and I picked those two brown colors. This is black. I made notes in my knitting book. I just updated this page. It's not completely finished because I miss one color, and that's with a reason, which I will share with you in a minute. But my first color was actually numbered 27. In Dutch is kastanjebruin. What's the word for kastanje? I know the word in English, but not now. The second color is chocolate brown. This is the first color. The second color is chocolate brown, and the reason why it's missing right here is because I'm playing yarn chicken with that color in another project. This is my Happy Granny vest. It's a crochet project, a pattern by my friend Lonneke. She's a Dutch crocheter and a knitter. The pattern is also available in English, and I talk a little bit more about it in my Dutch episode, but I already started this one before I started my Ziggy cardigan, but I needed that color in my Ziggy cardigan, so I decided to use it anyway, and now this is the only yarn ball I have left for this one, and I think I will make it because I made the decision to make a contrasting border, but I am playing yarn chicken, so I decided to save the yarn end for in my knitting book when I'm really sure I have enough yarn. Normally I use my cutted ends for it, but I was weaving in ends and cutting them during our holiday, and I didn't save them right there. So that is the color chocolate. And the third color is black. It is color number 8 and just plain black. And I really love the color combination of it. It feels really grounding and earthy and steady. I always feel powerful when I wear black, so I think I need it. So yeah, really happy with how it turned out. I discovered I needed to knit on 3mm needles to get gauge, and still getting gauge with plant fiber yarns, it's a little bit of a mystery to me. My swatch is blocked and the gauge is correct, but when I was taking measurements of the finished garment, my gauge was completely off. But I also noticed with other garments I made with dropspel or sandnesline, just the plant fiber, they are growing after wearing them for a few hours. So I decided to take the measurements just after blocking without wearing it, and I will add the measurements tomorrow when I started wearing the cardigan, because I am pretty sure it will grow. My gauge was perfect, the gauge of my swatch, and I knitted size small, which has a bust circumference of 95 centimeters, and my first measurements just after blocking was a bust circumference of 88 centimeters. So it doesn't make sense. I used exactly the same needles. Yeah, it's so annoying. But the fit is perfect, so I'm not complaining. But just, I'm not a swatcher, but when I test knit, I do swatch. And every time I swatch, it doesn't make sense. But my garments are turning out perfect, so maybe it does make sense. I don't know. It's a mystery, which I cannot understand. So yeah, I used 3mm needles to get gauge. I'm a loose knitter, so I always need to go down 1 needle size, and I think the recommended needle size for the Ziggy cardigan was 4mm. I used 3.25 for the sleeves. When you are knitting a smaller circumference for sleeves, I always go up 1 needle size because the knitting is a little bit tighter. Yeah, what do I need to say more? My cardigan is 292 grams in total. I didn't weigh every specific color because I didn't bring a scale with me during our holiday, and yeah, it was not, yeah, I was not really interested in it. But when I was making my knitting page in my knitting book, I thought it would be useful, helpful information for next one. A very golden tip in the Instagram chat. I was not active in the Instagram chat, but and also it was during our holiday, so I didn't have access to internet every time, or it was very slow, and yeah. But every now and then I read some messages in the chat, and lucky me, my eye felt on a message about the colors. The cardigan is originally designed for 2 color stripes, but I use 3 colors, and then you need to be aware, you need to start with a different color when you pick up the shoulder seam stitches. So let me show it to you. It is a top-down cardigan, and you start with the back. You make some increases, so you get those shoulders right here, and then you need to knit straight down below until here, and then it's time to pick up the stitches right here. And I don't know if you can see it. I started my cardigan with the lighter brown, and I needed to start my first row of the shoulders, the back and the front pieces, with my last color to match, how do you say it? To match the colors when you need to join it. So I used the chart. I haven't checked the final pattern. It is out now, the final pattern. I haven't checked it, but I think Katharine added a chart in which you can color your stripes, so you are sure how with which color you need to start. So when you use an odd number of colors, be aware of that. I was so happy. I just saw that little message in the Instagram chat, because I wasn't reading all the messages. I would have a problem, which I didn't have right now. The pattern is very easy. For the body part, I chose to carry my yarns. I didn't want to weave in all the yarn parts right here, because I thought, right here or there, I thought it would be visible. I don't really like the process of knitting with carrying your yarn, because I'm tangled all the time with all the yarn balls, and especially because it was a travel knit. I knitted a lot during our traveling because my husband was driving most of the time. Yeah, it was just a little bit annoying, but it worked out pretty good. I think, which one? I think this is my carry part. I don't know if you can see it. I picked up stitches for the button band. How do you call it? For the border. I don't have a button band. I will tell more about that later. And this is the other part. It went very well, so I was happy. It saved me a lot of yarn and weaving in. That's not correct following up, but it's okay. For the sleeves, I did cut my yarn because I didn't want to knit in the round. I was a little bit worried about the underarm. I knitted magic loop, and especially where it was, the underarm, so it's right here, was looking very messy. I think it was right here. It was looking very messy and very wide, but when I was ready and I started weaving in my yarn ends, it looked much better, so it was absolutely fine. I was a little bit confused during knitting about those lines in between. They looked so wide and so messy. The zigzag pattern is really easy, and I thought it might look messy, but during my knitting I couldn't make it smaller, so I tried to don't think about it, and I'm very happy I didn't spend much time to worry about it, because it's absolutely looking fine right now. You knit the cardigan back and forth, especially the mouw. The mouw. In Dutch, a sleeve is called een mouw. Except for the sleeves, you knit them in the round, but the rest of the cardigan you knit back and forth. And I knitted my wrong side rows, the purling rows, in the Portuguese, with a Portuguese knitting style. I did that for the first time with my Wonderbloom vest, I guess. I already learned how to knit Portuguese, but I never used that technique anymore. But there was a Dutch yarn shop owner sharing that in her stories, and I was really inspired to pick up the Portuguese knitting again, because I'm a continental knitter who uses the combination knitting to create some nicer and neater purl stitches, and I really love the combination knitting purl stitch, but what is happening is that the stitch is twisted, and that's not a problem at all normally. You just need to insert your needle in the other leg. But when you are knitting lace patterns, and this is a very simple lace pattern, but when slip slip knits and knits two together are involved, it's confusing. So it's not really working very nice, and I discovered Portuguese knitting is solving my problem, because my purl stitches, my wrong side rows, are still looking very good, not too loose, not too messy, and the stitches are all in the correct way on the needles. So that was really nice. I followed the pattern, I think the measurements, yeah. I will insert a picture of my measurements. I don't know, the measurements are personal, but I think it's pretty similar as the pattern's measurements, but the fit is really great. The only thing I changed is the tie. I only made one pair of ties, just because I prefer the look of that. You can choose for the pattern if you want a button band with buttonholes and buttons, or with ties. I think I would like both, but I'm really into my tie period of my life. Tied vests are looking so cute, so I decided to choose that one. Also, it was my first double knitted button band. I needed to think how it's called. I never have done that before. I normally skip that, not because I'm afraid of doing it, but I prefer the look of ribbed edgings, of ribbed button bands, ribbed bands. How do you call a button band when it's not a button band? I don't know. But because I was test knitting, I really wanted to do it how I was supposed to do it, and it took me some time to figure out how to create it nice and neat. But when I was on the go, it was actually really satisfying, just knitting small stitches. The pattern describes how you can do it on DPNs, and the first thing I thought was, oh no, I didn't bring any DPNs, but I figured out how I could do it on my long circular needle, and it was very easy peasy. So it was very satisfying to go all around, picking up the stitches as I go, creating the button band, and yeah, I think I'm a fan. So maybe I will not skip it next time when I am making a pattern with a double knitted button band. I decided to do one tie. The original pattern has two, or button bands, so you can play with it, you can do whatever you want. Is there more? No, I don't think there is more. When I was blocking, I did pin the points of the zigzag at the sleeves and at the bottom, because I really like the shape of the chevron, the zigzag stripes, so I wanted to give them a little bit of accent. And I'm curious how it will be when I wash my garment. My winter garments, my woolly garments, I only wash once a year, but my summer garments, which I wear close to my skin, I wash more often. So I'm very curious if it needs to be blocked every time, because I'm too lazy for that. I only block it the first time, and the rest of the time I just lay it flat, hanging on my drying rack. But we shall see. I will put it on for you. As I said, I didn't wear it yet because it was too warm for it, but this week will be perfect. And when I tried it on for the very first time yesterday, I was very happy. It's always such an exciting moment when you are knitting a new garment and you have the final fit session. I really love it. The yarn, it feels great. I think the fit is great. The length is perfect. I'm really happy how it matches my dress. I also have this dress in brown and in green and in other colors, so I think I can make some nice combinations. And yeah, it's the perfect throw over cardigan for those summer days. I am very, very happy. I absolutely recommend this pattern. It was very clear. It was my first pattern designed by Katharina von Blumenthal. And I think she did a great job. I read her post, her Instagram post. There was a little story about this cardigan. She made it last year and she shared it on her social media, but no one really replied. No one seemed to be as excited as she was about this cardigan, so she was a little bit disappointed. But this summer she decided to create the pattern anyway because she loved it so much. She made a second sample for herself, and now it is out, and I really hope a lot of people will buy her pattern or will knit her cardigan, because that's the main goal, because it's such a nice easy peasy project. The zigzag stripes, knitting stripes is addictive, but knitting zigzag stripes, it gives a little bit of a retro vibe, a retro vibe, I think I need to say it like that. Yeah, I can imagine I will make another one. I would love to have a woolly one as well. It is just so satisfying. A scrappy one would be great, with scrappy sock yarn held double, or with all my scrappy drops bell or other plant fiber DK weight yarns with all the colors. But I must confess, I'm very, very, very happy with my final color combination, because this is absolutely a nice adjustment to my wardrobe. So, Ziggy Cardigan, I will link down below all the information, my project page, and you can find, I'm struggling. My head is going faster than my English words can come out. The translation process is not as fast as what I want to tell you. I will share Kathryn's Instagram account as well. So, that was my main knitting project. I worked on some others when I finished this cardigan. Again, I share more about it in my Dutch episode, also published today. I did make some acquisitions. We went to Budapest in the beginning of our summer vacation, and it was my plan to visit 2 yarn shops right there, but it was very warm and Budapest was beautiful but also very overwhelming, and we were not close to the shops, and we only were there for a very short time, so I decided to not go. I regret that a little bit afterwards, but it was just too early in our vacation. And later in Slovakia I couldn't really find yarn shops. There is, I forgot to share it in my Dutch episode, there is a lovely idea from a Dutch knitter. Her name is Chantal, and she developed a kind of website which is called Knitmapp.com. When I go to a specific place in the Netherlands or in another country, I always check Google Maps for yarn shops. And Chantal created a beautiful map for knitters with all the yarn shops. It is a worldwide map, and she just started, so it is a work in progress, as she describes it. Yarn shops can contact her and they can add information, and it's not only where the yarn shop is, but it's also with what kind of yarns they have, maybe with events, and there are also lovely suggestions for having a nice coffee in the surrounding or a nice place to stay during the night, other tips, and creative events, social events. So yeah, it is absolutely a very nice, and it's not an app, it's an internet page, but you can make a link on your phone, so I did do that. But there were not many Slovakia yarn shops already on that map, because she just started working with it. But I absolutely recommend to take a look right there. it doesn't matter where you live, it's a worldwide map, so it's very cool. You can mark which shops you have visited. Yeah, lovely, lovely HeartJumping initiative. That's a hard word for me. HeartJumping idea. So I did check Knitmapp as well, and I noticed in Slovakia they call the yarn shop Galanterias. And I visited one, and they had a lot of acrylic yarns, also some lovely ribbons, which I bought. And then on our last day, we visited a very lovely small city. We accidentally visited a yarn shop, which I hadn't found on Google Maps or Knitmapp. And there they had the lovely original Slovakian wool. I was really so happy I could find a skein. Something is happening on my camera. I think it might be a little bit overheated. I will take a break and I will come back when my camera is cooled down a little bit. My camera was indeed overheated. It is still pretty warm inside. We have had some very hot summer days again. Temperatures dropped right now. This morning I woke up with rain and fresh air and I was so happy. I'm feeling so much better. My curls are coming back. My curls completely disappeared with the hot, dry weather we had the last couple of weeks. As well in the Netherlands as in Slovakia, it was warm, and the weather in Slovakia was fine, but it was not very wet. A little bit of rain every now and then, but not very much. And when my curls disappear, my whole me disappears. I think my energy is in my curls. So I felt really low energized. And this morning I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I thought, I'm back. So I'm really looking forward to those rainy days. Autumn is coming. I enjoy a good late summer as well, but not with high temperatures. So Slovakian yarn. We went to that yarn shop, and I think the yarn shop owner, she noticed very quick we were tourists, so she suggested the Slovakian yarn, and I was so happy with it. It was local, and she had a few skeins, only this one in pink. The other skeins were green and blue, lovely shades of green and blue, but not really my colors, so I decided to pick this one. I have an idea to knit with it. It was my plan. I was watching one of the older episodes of Sandra Carl on YouTube, the Icelandic knitter. I'm a big fan of her episodes. I think they are so calming and so inspiring. I love her musing. Yeah, I have some to watch because I'm a little bit behind, and that's really a nice idea. And I noticed she was designing a shawl pattern, and I think she already released that pattern right now, a really nice tiny shawl, and I thought it would be perfect to make a tiny pink shawl for a pop of color. But I was a little bit confused because I also decided to stop buying yarn and patterns for a little while, not forever, absolutely not, but I have bought so many patterns and so much yarn in 2026 and also in 2025, and I think also in 2024. And I always compare my amount of yarn and patterns with my bank account. I don't complain when there's coming more on my bank account as well. And of course, there's not coming more on my bank account because I'm buying so much yarn and patterns, but it feels as if I'm a rich woman in yarn and patterns, not in money. It's in my yarn and patterns. It's an investment. And that's okay, that's completely okay. I also really love to support knitting designers and yarn shop owners. But I think I reached a point that I feel overwhelmed right now. I really want to use up some of my beautiful yarn, and I want to work with some of the beautiful patterns. So I thought it might be a good idea to calm down a little bit on that collecting new process. So I just decided that, and then and then I saw the shawl. I will buy it anyway. So maybe it's my last the last pattern I will buy before I will take a break. I don't know how long my break will be, maybe 1 week, we shall see. But yeah, I think it will be the perfect shawl for just one single skein. I also bought some sock yarn, just a random skein because I like the colors. It's in between a skein and a yarn ball. And also my middle daughter, my 19-year-old daughter, she started knitting socks during our holiday, and she chose this one. And she told me I don't really need extra sock yarn. I don't knit so quick, but I thought you need to learn, you need to buy a little bit of sock yarn or whatever kind of yarn in every city you will visit, because the memories are catched in it. We had a very nice day with friends. We camped a few days with friends in a lovely little city, and it was very good. It was the end of the holiday. It was very nice. It's all catched in this yarn. So yeah, I was very happy I found a yarn shop. And later we also spent 1 week of our summer vacation in the Netherlands. I also bought, oh, it's not there anymore. I also bought some yarn in a Dutch yarn shop, but you can see that in the Dutch episode. Okay, I think this was it for today. It's good to be back. I really struggled last week with landing back at home. I always need some time to... I love coming home, especially the last days of our vacation. I want to say holiday all the time, but I think that's not the good word. The last days of our vacation, we only went with the two of us, and the kids were at home. They are bigger, so they love a little bit of freedom at home with no parents as well. And we enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a big difference between all the happiness and very busy social time, and then suddenly just the two of us and the dog. But it was okay, it was okay. We enjoyed it, and we had a lot of fun with the two of us as well. But it was very nice to came back home, to be complete again. But yeah, it's always a little bit confusing coming back into your routines after summer vacation. It's not going very easy for me every year. I'm struggling a little bit with it, but I think today it is okay. Summer vacation is still not ended. We have 1 week before my youngest will go to school. The other two, they have their own... yeah, it's not as simple when your kids are bigger. When they are small, they all have the same rhythm. When they get bigger, the rhythms are different. But yeah, the routine is coming back. The weather is different. The evenings are starting earlier. The mornings are starting later. So yeah, I really love that. I'm really looking forward to that part of the year. And I'm really looking forward to knit and crochet, all the things. But the last weeks of August, we are at the half... Yeah, we have the mid of August. I will spend finishing things. I have a big basket with all the projects, and I would love to finish some things before I start to knit all the woolly things in September. I think that's a good plan. We shall see how long I can follow my own plans. Yeah. So this was it for today. Thank you for being here. If you like this cardigan as much as I do, please check Katharina von Blumenthal's Ravelry page. I don't know if she has a website. If she has, I will add it in the description box down below, and I will add my Instagram, my Ravelry project page as well, so you can find as much information as possible. I absolutely recommend this pattern. You can make a woolly one as well. It would be lovely, I think. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!